Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tram Mai. We have some breaking news we want to get to right now. We understand that 3 people have been shot at the Tanger Outlets. Let's give you some live looks right now from Sky 12 over the scene. This right here is the Tanger Outlets. It's located in Glendale near State Farm Stadium. Specifically, it's Glendale and the Loop 101. Again, this is an active situation according to police. We don't have a lot of details right now, but what we can tell you is that 3 people have been shot. They are still looking for the suspect. We do not know anything about the suspect or the motive or the victim's conditions right now. What I can tell you is that we do have crews, team coverage right now. We've got Bianca Bono. She is at the outlets gathering information. Our Adriana Loya, she will be stationed at the Cabela's, which is near that area, near the Tanger Outlets. That is where media is gathered currently, and they are going to be waiting for police to give more information. Mitch Carr is also going to be stationed at St. Joseph's Hospital. That is where we understand where the victims will be taken to. We want to go live to some ADOT cameras as well right now, and we understand that several exits in the area have been closed because, again, this is an active situation according to police. We know that the suspect is still out there. The suspect is still on the loose. Again, we're still working on getting more information regarding the situation, but we do know that police crews, and I think we saw a fire truck in the area. If we could possibly go back to Sky 12, I think it's zoomed into a particular area at the Tanger Outlets. Right now, obviously, it's a wider shot, so it's hard to tell, but you can see the traffic along the Loop 101 right there, that it is still flowing. But again, this is an area in the West Valley, a lot of fields nearby. You have State Farm Stadium right across the street. There's also Westgate District. That is where, if you'll remember, just 2 years ago, back on May 20th, 2020, there was a big shooting, an active shooter situation there too, where a man walked into the district, pulled out an AR-15 and began shooting. 3 people were shot just after 5 p.m. But you can see a little bit of the traffic backed up there. We don't know if it's related. I think that right there, the street, obviously parallel to the Loop 101. But we are getting into rush hour traffic. It's also spring break. So you have a lot of tourists in the area, a lot of locals in the area. Tanger Outlets, very, very popular for shopping. We want to bring in Mark Curtis right now and again, recap what is happening in this area right now is 3 people have been shot.
Yeah, this all unfolded around 2:45 this afternoon, and it is a little bit ironic that you look back at the shooting at Westgate, which is directly adjacent to these outlets, and now we have another mass shooting situation. Again, we don't know the condition of the victims at this point. We do know 3 people have been shot. We understand that this is an active situation, not an active shooter situation, and there is a distinction between the two. What I am told that means, Tram, is active shooter situations, there's still someone that would be running around, let's say the Tanger Outlets, with a gun. In an active situation, that means they don't think the shooting is still going on, but they haven't apprehended the suspect, the suspected shooter. We're working right now, and all of this has unfolded. It's 45 minutes or so. We're working on getting you more details, so bear with us as the details come in. And you can also see State Farm Stadium right in the background. This is just to orient you. If you've driven anywhere along the 101 in the West Valley, you know the area we're talking about.
And if we could actually go back to that ADOT shot, because if you look closely, you can actually see some of the emergency personnel on scene. So go to the right of your screen right there, kind of in the middle. You can see some sirens. So that could possibly be the police cruisers there. Again, this is in the jurisdiction of Glendale Police Department. So you can see some of the sirens right there. It looks like there's possibly at least 3 cruisers there. You also see some people, it looks like, perhaps standing on the outskirts of that parking lot. This is a kind of a tricky shot here because it it looks like it's static at
It's
times.
a little
and then
glitchy
it's
because
moving.
it's a webcam.
Exactly. But this is in the area of the Loop 101 near Glendale Avenue. We've been told again that several exits have been closed off. Of course, you know, on game day, this is a very busy area.
And this would be on the freeway shooting east towards the stadium and towards those outlets. And we're not sure if the shooting took place in the mall or on that side of the mall. But we do know at least 3 people have been wounded this afternoon by yet another active shooting situation here in the Valley.
And in a situation like this, of course, information is very fluid. We're still trying to gather as much information as we can. They're going to keep a lot of people back as they are still searching for this active shooter. So, of course, media will be held back. A lot of the shoppers who are in the Tanger Outlets, they are going to be pushed back as well. The number one priority for police is the safety of everyone. Again, the only thing that we know is that 3 people have been shot. We don't know their conditions. It looks like they could be taken to St. Joseph's Hospital. If that's the case, that's going to be near downtown Phoenix.
St. Joseph's Hospital, of course, one of the many level 1 trauma centers available in the Valley for people who need to be medevaced. But you can imagine the gargantuan task for police and mall security at the height of spring break, with everyone and their brother in town for spring training, as you mentioned, Tram, and spring break. The outlet malls are a popular destination on a day that's not spring break, but you add in spring break and the great influx of people who come to the Valley to enjoy the sunshine and the warm weather. You can imagine the task, the lift it was to get these people out of harm's way. And look at these pictures from Sky 12. You can see that so many people right now, I'm assuming that these are people who have been pushed out of the mall, evacuated from the mall, pushed to safety when all of this started happening, and they're being congregated around that area on the outskirts of the parking lot.
Okay, we just got some new information that these victims will be taken to St. Joseph's Westgate Medical Center. Obviously, that sounds like it's, you know, a wing of the downtown location, the main hospital in downtown Phoenix. Again, giving you a live look, you can clearly now see the masses of people being held back away from the Tanger Outlets as police try to find the shooter. This outlet center is huge, as you can clearly see there. There are hundreds of stores, so obviously thousands of people here. We understand that the entire mall, this outdoor mall, is on lockdown, and you can see, you know, plenty of people there. Just happy to go there on a Wednesday afternoon, just trying to enjoy some shopping. A lot of families are there as well. Again, as we mentioned, it's spring break, so a lot of people are off right now. And now this active shooter situation is happening. We haven't heard anything about the shooter yet. Again, we have crews. We've got 3 reporters out there trying to gather the very latest information. Hopefully the police will be staging a press conference to give us the very latest. This could be happening at the Cabela's, which is right next door across, just blocks away really, just across the street.
And I just wanted to mention that if you know someone who typically goes on the 101 around this time of day, maybe coming home from work or school, 101 at Glendale is closed right now for obvious reasons in both directions. So you may want to head them off if you can. Give them a call and tell them to find some other route to get home, because you do not want to be on the 101 at this time anywhere between, say, Bethany Home Road, Camelback, Indian School, Glendale. Those are the areas that are going to be most congested, most involved in this situation that now also involves DPS, which is assisting Glendale PD.
All right, and you can clearly see from these pictures here how calm the situation is, which is a good thing. I mean, and you also see, you know, people with strollers. So young kids here, families, locals, tourists, everybody here. And this obviously unexpected event, but I'm struck by how calm everything is, which is a good sign, because obviously it looks like DPS and Glendale police have things under control as they are still looking for this active shooter, considering 3 people have been shot.
We don't know the extent of their injuries. We're working on getting you that information. I pray and hope that it's nothing life-threatening at this point, but we just don't know. We're getting very, very sketchy details right now about the incident, just the number of victims, and that they don't think that the active shooter is still on the loose, but it is an active situation. So Glendale PD, DPS assisting them, looking for a shooter or shooters who were involved in this incident that happened at about 2:45. So we're coming up on about an hour since the incident unfolded.
What's also interesting from these images from Sky 12, Mark, is the fact that everyone being calmly ushered out, they're all being taken to the outskirts of this outlet. I mean, again, it is on lockdown, so there's not going to be a whole lot of movement. I just saw that red car kind of, switch parking spots right there. But it doesn't look like, obviously, that there is a mass exodus of cars being allowed to leave the premise. We can see a fire truck right there to the top right of your screen. So again, a good sign that everything looks very calm. That fire truck is moving along the way. But it does look like people are just being calmly walked and escorted outside to the outer perimeter of the Tanger Outlets.
And what it tells you, Tram, if you can read between the lines here, I think, is that the active shooter is not still involved in this. The shooter hopefully has taken off somewhere and will be apprehended, but I think you'd see a much different situation if there were shots being fired right now with the way those people are behaving.
Right. I mean, and it takes me back to 2 years ago, May 20th, 2020, when we had that active shooter with the AR-15 who came into the Westgate district and just started firing and just mass chaos. Yes, people running for their lives. Just obviously that situation, incredibly scary. This seems to be a stark contrast. Now, what we can't see, obviously, from this view from Sky 12 is what is actually happening inside the Tanger Outlets. It is an outdoor shopping area, but obviously there are, a lot of corners and a lot of crevices within where people are shopping in between.
We have Jose Miguel on the phone with us right now, who will give us an update on what's happening. Jose, can you hear us? It's Mark and Tram here at 12 News. Jose? All right, we're going to work on getting Jose Miguel on the phone with us to give us an update on the situation. Do we have Jose?
We do. We're trying to fix it.
All right, we're working on that. But again, you're looking at live pictures from Sky 12 over a shooting scene that unfolded about an hour ago at the Tanger Outlets at the 101 and Glendale in the far West Valley. This is next to State Farm Stadium where the Cardinals play, and ironically next to the Westgate Center where we had that shooting incident a couple of years ago where someone came in with an AR-15 and indiscriminately started shooting.
And right next door, you just saw, this is the Renaissance Hotel right here. That's the building that is also adjacent next to the Tanger Outlets. This is a very, very busy area. Again, a huge tourist and local hotspot for discount deals when it comes to shopping, but also you've got the Renaissance Hotel where a lot of, tourists could be staying as well because it is spring break.
I think this is the DPS helicopter we're looking at right now that is over the area, possibly looking for a suspect.
And you also see even more people on that side of the outlets here as Sky 12 is starting to zoom in. Again,
more people being evacuated.
Yep, single file line almost. Again, very, very calm. And we're going to try to get Jose Miguel back on the phone with us. Jose, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Sure. We've had very few details, Jose, just that 3 people have been shot this afternoon at the outlets. First of all, any update on their conditions?
I can tell you that 3 individuals were indeed injured during the situation that we can confirm. Those injuries are considered to be critical. It's too early to tell whether or not those injuries are life-threatening. We can also tell you that a 4th individual showed up at a Valley hospital, and we are working to confirm whether or not that individual is involved with the situation in any way, shape, or form.
And
I can also tell you...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that I can also tell you that we are still actively looking for one suspect. We do not believe that this is a multiple suspect situation. We believe that we are only looking for one individual involved in this case. We're asking folks in this area, if you are in this area, to please remain locked down in place until we can safely confirm that the threat level is gone. As far as the individuals inside of Tanger, our officers are going store to store to not only investigate the situation, but to clear the different stores and get those individuals out of those stores into a safer area. We're also asking folks to avoid this area if at all possible. If you don't need to be in this area, please stay away from here.
Jose Miguel Santiago with the city of Glendale on the phone with us, giving us an update on this shooting that happened. And Jose, we were talking earlier about the difference between an active shooter situation and an active situation. This is right now an active situation, but would you say it's not an active shooter situation?
That's correct, but we still are actively looking for a suspect here. So because of the fact that there has not been any shots reported in this area for somewhere in the neighborhood of a little bit more than 30 minutes, we don't believe that there's still an active shooting taking place, but this is still an active situation because we are still trying to get a handle on how many victims we're dealing with, suspects, and things of that nature.
As far as the police response, did the police engage the shooter in any way, or was the shooter able, to your understanding, able to get away before police arrived on the scene?
We have not had contact with this individual, so this is still a situation where we are actively looking for an individual that's responsible for this.
And Jose, this is Tram here. We can obviously see many shoppers in that area. They are all being escorted out to the perimeter of the Tanger Outlets. It seems to be a very calm situation. Is everybody out of the outlet center right now?
No, we're still working on actively getting individuals out of the stores. Once we clear those stores, those individuals are being brought to another area, a safer area near our command post. And once we get a clearance of the entire mall area, at that point we will determine any individuals that we need to speak to and any individuals that are free to head home at that point. But right now this is still a lockdown situation, and we're still trying to gather as many witnesses.
So can we ask where exactly, if you know, did this shooting take place? Was it inside a store? Was it outside of the store? Where?
We are concentrating our efforts near the entrance area leading from the east side of the Tanger Outlets facing Westgate. So that's the area that we're concentrating on, and that's all the information that I can provide to you at this time.
Can you give us any insight into how the Tanger Outlets conduct a situation like this? You know, Jose, in this world we live in now, all businesses probably have some sort of a plan in place in the event of an active shooter. So all the stores know to go on lockdown in a situation like this, and the customers who are in the store are then told to duck and cover, seek safety. Do you know anything about the plan in place for an active shooter situation at Tanger?
I can't speak on behalf of Tanger and what kind of security practices they have. I could tell you, as far as the police department is concerned, we were the ones who actively told individuals and businesses in this area to remain locked down in place. As far as the security measures that Tanger has in place, that's a question for them. Unfortunately, I am going to have to let you guys go because, as you can imagine, this is still very active and we're still trying to gather information. We are going to be meeting with the media as soon as we possibly can.
Okay. Jose Miguel Santiago with the city of Glendale joining us for just a few moments on what's turned into an ugly afternoon in the valley with 3 people shot, possibly a 4th, by a shooter. They think it's just one shooter, Tram. The shooter not actively involved right now, but police are searching for the gunman. They don't think that there are multiple gunmen. We don't know the condition of the people except to say that they are in critical condition right now. We don't know anything beyond that. We know that a 4th person did go to the hospital, but we don't know what condition that person was in. Some of the stores are still on lockdown. You can see people at times with our shot from Sky 12 being taken out of the mall, but Jose tells us that some of the stores are still on lockdown.
Yeah, and when you talk about lockdown, that means there is no movement in or out of that entire area. Jose also mentioned that in terms of where this shooting took place, it was near the entrance of the Tanger Outlets on the east side of the outlets facing Westgate. He also said that if you are in this area, and we do know that there are a lot of farm fields in the area as well as many businesses. You've got Westgate right there, you've got Renaissance Hotel, and there are some homes around the area as well. You want to stay locked down. Do not go outside. Stay put where you are. We know police, they are going door to door to each and every one of these shopping stores, and they're just making sure that each one is cleared and that the shooter is not in them. Again, they're still looking for this shooter. We know that the victims are being taken to St. Joseph's Westgate Medical Center.
Which I can tell you because I've been there. It's not far away from the Tanger Outlets.
Yeah, it's just north of there,
Just
off
north.
of 99th
Yeah.
Avenue and Glendale.
If you are just getting home and tuning in, the good news is, hopefully, for you, the folks who are in lockdown are safe. They don't think the shooter is still on the loose in the mall. Police and DPS and Glendale police actively looking for the shooter. They think there's just one. But we do know that, unfortunately, 3 people have been transported in critical condition.
And here's a ground shot of what is happening in that situation. Obviously, people have to be very concerned, have to be very worried, but at least everybody looks like they are calm and that they are okay. They are just waiting at this point of when they can be released. But that could take a while. You know, if police are going door to door to every single store in that Tanger outlet, there have to be dozens of stores, if not more than 100. I mean, this is a huge shopping center that draws tons of people to this area,
Especially this time of year.
right now.
Right.
Exactly. So, you know, a lot of people there. You can still see that there are still people exiting the inside of the Tanger outlets to be taken outside to the perimeter.
If this is anything like other active shooter situations and active situations that we've covered in the past, not only at Westgate, but in other parts of the country where there have been active shooters in shopping malls, what police will do is they will go store to store, one at a time. It won't just be a situation where they will get a call at all the stores and say, open your doors and let the people go. They will clear each store one by one and then let the people go that way. So that's why you're seeing small groups of people coming out instead of just one mass. It's safer that way for the people who have been on lockdown. It's safer for employees and definitely easier for police to handle that situation.
And we want to remind folks that, again, this is an active situation. That basically means that police have not found the suspect who is responsible for shooting 3 people, landing them in critical condition, and possibly a 4th individual as well. Again, this whole entire area, as well as the surrounding areas, it is all on lockdown. We are still waiting for police to hold a press conference happening near Cabela's, which is also right across the street from the Tanger outlets as well. We do have several crews on hand right now covering the situation. Bianca Bono is out there. She is gathering information around the outlets. Adriana Loya, she is at Cabela's. That is where the media will be staged, waiting for more information from police. And Mitch Carr is also stationed at St. Joseph's Hospital.
Tram, I'm just getting word that our crews were able to talk to a witness who was there at the time of the shooting. Let's go to that sound.
Says you were talking to your sons.
Yes.
To your kids. What did they tell you?
That the shooting broke out at Cabela at Under Armour over there, and everybody scrambled. They're still in lockdown. They haven't released them.
So what was it that they told you?
The shooting broke out. That's it. I don't know nothing yet.
And they're on lockdown right now.
Yes, they are.
I mean, you were speaking to them on the phone right
Yes.
now. How are they feeling?
Well, they're in shock. You know, they're all broke down. I got a daughter in there, my son, my daughter-in-law, my grandson, and my aunt. And they're
Any word of
they caught one guy, they said, but they're looking for the other guy. I don't know. I'm not in there.
And did they tell you that they see the shooting?
What I think my son is the one that's actually seen the shooting.
What is it that he told you
I haven't talked to him, just according to my daughter-in-law.
that he witnessed?
Yeah.
And what was exactly did he say?
Just that there was a shooting broke out and everybody scrambled underneath to get it for safety.
And right now, where are they?
They're in the back parking lot. They're out there, but they're not letting nobody out.
So they're not inside the store, but
No.
they're
Well, some of them aren't. My daughter's still inside the store, but my son and his wife and my aunt, they're in the back parking lot. Yeah. So.
you as a parent, were you driving by?
No, I was on my way home and I turned around and the officer over there on Glendale Avenue told me to come here, to wait here. I was the only one to come by.
But so, like, did your daughter call you and told you, hey, we're unlocked, or what was it?
No,
How did you know to come
I
here?
just happened to call my daughter and she says, hey, there's a situation going on. So I called, she had bad reception, so I called my daughter-in-law. She said there was a shooting here at the outlet, so I turned around and came back over here. My wife's on the way down right now.
How are you feeling right now?
Like, she's shocked. You know what I mean? I'm just glad that everybody's okay. And, you know, I hope nobody lost their lives. I don't know.
What were your children doing here at the store today?
Just shopping, just killing time. You know,
On a normal Wednesday.
on a normal Wednesday afternoon.
And then this happens.
And this happens, yes.
I mean, do they come often here? I mean, this is a very busy.
Yeah, they come about once every 2 weeks just to kill time. Maybe they'll have lunch here and they go home. But that's about it, yeah.
I can only imagine what went through your went through your mind when you heard.
It's terrible, you know. I don't wish it on nobody.
Definitely. What was your name?
David.
And your last name, David?
Raya.
Raya, R-A-Y-A?
Yes.
Excelente. Muchísimas gracias.
Yes.
All right, that is, you can imagine the angst of a parent where they find out their kid has been involved in an active shooter situation and is currently on lockdown. As a parent myself, and you too, Tram, I know exactly what he must be thinking right now and feeling.
He really echoes the sentiment of so many parents out there. In fact, I thought he took it quite calm. Luckily, his kids seem to be okay. We should clarify, though, Dave had mentioned that his son had mentioned that there was still another suspect that police were looking. We have confirmed that the police have only one suspect in mind, and they are looking for that one suspect. We have not heard that there are multiple suspects. So that's the information that we have gathered right now that we just wanted to clarify. But again, obviously such a scary, scary situation. And what's interesting too, Mark, is that he mentioned how, you know, he was on his way going one way, and then when he got this call from his kids, he came to the area. So obviously there must be almost some kind of a waiting staging area for the numerous people who are concerned about the kids and family.
Of course, for family members, and look at how much, since we've been on the air, which is probably 20, 25 minutes, look at how much the crowd has grown. These are people that were at one point, I am presuming, on lockdown, that have been taken out of the Tanger Outlets where this terrible shooting took place just over an hour ago. This is on 95th Avenue approximately, and the 101 and Glendale. Right next to State Farm Stadium, right next to the Westgate Center, where we unfortunately had another shooting a couple of years ago. A lot of prayers going out this afternoon for the 3 people who have been shot. According to a spokesperson for Glendale, City of Glendale, those 3 are in critical condition.
And we know the Tanger Outlets, again, it's a huge shopping destination. There have to be more than 100 stores there. So you can only imagine the amount of traffic that it attracts. And we're seeing a lot of that traffic from people, obviously, on the outskirts along the perimeter. Another shot for you to the left-hand side of your screen of ADOT there. That's another view. And again, it's a little, you know, staticky here and there, but you can see down below on the parking lot area all of the people and the cars and the emergency personnel that it takes to get all of these shoppers out safely. And that is really the priority. The key here is to hopefully guarantee everybody's safety as they are still looking for this one suspect.
Well, sadly, in this new world we live in, where mass shootings have become a common occurrence, most large gathering places, malls, outlet malls in this case, schools, have some sort of a plan in place because you just have to. In 2022, you just have to have a plan in place in case, God forbid, there is an active shooter, and it's happened again, and today it's happened in the West Valley.
And again, we are still waiting for a press conference from the police department. We know there's multiple agencies involved, including Glendale Police as well as DPS. We saw DPS earlier escorting many of these shoppers out of the immediate shopping area at Tanger Outlets. We understand that this media staging area will be held at Cabela's, which is just right across the street from there. But as soon as we get wind of when that will take place and when it'll start, we'll of course bring it to you live. We know Adriana Loya, who you just heard interview that gentleman, Dave, who had a couple of his kids there. She is out there on scene trying to gather more information and get an eyewitness account from others. Bianca Bono, she is out there as well. Mitch Carr is out live at St. Joseph's Hospital, which is just right north of the Tanger Outlets. We understand once again that 3 people have been injured. They are in critical condition, possibly a 4th individual as well.
And I just want to point out, if you're watching this coverage and you have someone that you know and care for at the mall right now, you're being told, if you want to find them and pick them up, to go to the orange lot at State Farm Stadium. The orange lot, one of the many lots surrounding the stadium where Cardinal fans go to during the season. So if you go to the stadium, get to the orange lot. That will be the staging area where people who are waiting for their loved ones who have been on lockdown will be sent. The orange lot at State Farm Stadium.
And we just got more information that we understand from police that primary searches have been completed and now secondary searches are underway. It would be good to get some clarification as to what the difference between a primary search and a secondary search is. But again, we are also working to get more experts that we can talk to kind of distinguish the difference between a primary versus a secondary search. But we just got that new information.
And again, one of the big headlines here, aside from the fact that we know 3 people have been shot, possibly a 4th, is that this is no longer considered an active shooting situation, but an active situation. And a lot of times today, when you hear news of a shooting and you hear active shooting, you automatically assume that a shooter is on the loose, which would be the case. But now that they do not believe the shooter is on the premises right now, so this is what's called an active situation. So the search is still going on for the shooter. They think it's just one shooter, but the shots are no longer being fired. And so if there's any good news in all of this, is that the imminent danger of an active shooter is no longer present.
All right, you are looking at a live Sky 12 view right here of the situation. To the right of your screen, ADOT cameras. To the left, this is looking at Glendale and the Loop 101. Again, 3 people hurt. They are in critical condition. There's possibly a 4th. Police are still looking for 1 suspect. We know that the primary searches have been completed. They're now on to their secondary search. However, the entire place, along with the surrounding areas, so Tanger Outlets as well as the outlying areas, that is all on lockdown. People are not allowed to come and go as they please. In fact, many of the shoppers have all been gathering around the outskirts, around the perimeter of the Tanger Outlets.
We're coming up on 4 o'clock, which is typically the time when we begin first at 4, and obviously this is the only story we're going to be covering for the foreseeable future. But we will be taking a quick 10-second pause in our coverage, but stay right here because we do have 12 news reporters on the scene working this story. We'll get you their reports hopefully in the next few minutes, but keep it right here on 12 News as we continue to follow a day where violence has broken out in the West Valley at the Tanger Outlets.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to First at 4. I'm Tram Mai along with Mark Curtis. We have been covering breaking news happening at the Tanger Outlets. We understand that there is one suspect still on the loose. This is an active situation. We know that 3 people have been hurt. They are in critical condition. There's possibly a 4th individual hurt as well.
This has become the new norm, unfortunately, all across America. When you come on the air at 4 o'clock on what should be just a gorgeous day in the Valley during spring training, and instead of talking about baseball and the weather, we're talking about an active shooting situation which unfolded about an hour and a half ago in the West Valley at a busy outlet shopping mall. 3 people have been critically injured. We want to go to Mike Para, who joins us on the phone. He's a retired police commander. Mike, can you hear us? It's Tram and Mark here at 12 News.
Yes, I can.
Mike, where were you a police commander?
Phoenix Police Department.
Mike, thanks for coming on with us. When you have a large area like this and the call goes out that there's been a mass shooting, there's been an active shooter in the area, what's the first order of business for police?
Normally will be to stabilize the scene, to try and get everyone out of danger and safety, and then trying to go step by step each store and to make sure everyone's out, and for possible other victims and possible suspects as well.
We understand that the secondary search is now on. What does that mean versus the primary search?
That's more of a finite search for have anyone hiding in any nick or corner that could be possibly used. So it's just more of a fine-tuned search by personnel, usually SWAT members or Special Assignment Unit members.
Mike, can you give us some perspective when it comes to police going to each and every store, trying to find this suspect? I mean, this is such a huge area. There are hundreds, if not maybe at least 1,000 people shopping in this area. What does it take for police to go door to door?
It's going to take a lot of coordination with not just Glendale PD, but also, as you saw, DPS is out there as well assisting. But you'll have other agencies throughout the valley to try and give some resources and some help, whether it be traffic control or some of their special assignment units or SWAT units as well. MCSO could also be helpful as well. But it is a coordinated effort. It's a slow-moving operation. They will go as a team, usually anywhere from 5 to 10 individuals at one time per store, just to make sure that everything is clear and to protect each other, and also seek suspects or victims that may still be in the stores.
Mike Para, retired police commander with Phoenix PD, on the phone with us. And Mike, how do you walk that fine line between finding the suspected shooter if they think that person is still hiding somewhere, and protecting yourself, but also trying to get these people to safety? It's got to be a very intricate and tough dance to conduct.
It is, and quite honestly, they will have to be treated as possible suspects, and they will be carefully given directions to be able to give commands to get them out safely, so that there's no danger with officers that are trying to search for victims and or suspects as well. But it's a very methodical process, and it'll pretty much just be taking everyone else out in person, one by one, and making sure that they're not involved, because they may very well be involved.
And we saw how many people were being escorted out in such a calm fashion. And you've got so many kids, so many families, even babies and strollers out at that location too. How do you maintain that level of calm in such a stressful, anxiety-ridden environment?
Typically, I mean, officers train for these type of situations, and it's methodical. Again, we work well with other agencies and resources, and we try and team up and try and make sure that everything goes smoothly, and try and make sure that everyone gets out of that area safely. We try and set up areas for staging to make sure that there's one command, and then there will be different resources that will go in. Right now, Glendale will probably be the command agency, and they will use the resources throughout the valley. And they'll set up different locations for victims and family members down the road.
Mike, you're retired now, but you still live in the area, I'm assuming.
Yes, I do.
What's your take on what's going on as far as an uptick in gun violence and mass shootings? Do you have a theory?
No, it's very difficult. This isn't the just occur in the Southwest. It also occurs nationally. And for some reason, with the complexities of being able to get guns, which is everyone's right to do, but there is freedom of it. And unfortunately, sometimes the freedom tends to go sometimes to the people that really shouldn't be having a gun.
We talked to Chief Jerry Williams last week here in studio about gun violence, and she's obviously very concerned because the officers who work under her are putting themselves in harm's way, as is every other department. And now, as if it wasn't tough enough for what you guys do, you add ghost guns to the mix.
Yeah, that's a new phenomena that's unique to this type of generation now. You purchase it and you assemble it, and you have a gun that's not traceable. Some laws need to be conducted, whether federally or statewide, to make sure that process is no longer possible. But yes, it's a very dangerous situation, and unfortunately, it's too easy to get a gun anymore as far as a ghost type gun on the internet.
You know, as people are sitting at home watching this all unfold, obviously they are worried about anybody they know who is there, any family, any loved ones, whomever. And this is a situation that could really, really take a while. What do you want to say to them who are so concerned as they watch this?
The most I can say is just be patient. It will take time. This area like that, which is just enormous, will take hours to be able to clear perfectly and make sure it's safe for anyone to go into. There's so many crawl spaces and so many nooks and crannies that people can hide, and they could be possibly part of that victims that they have on the side as well. Until they do more interviews, more one-on-ones with individuals that actually saw what happened and get more information. It's just a slow process, and it will take some time.
Former Phoenix PD Commander Mike Parra on the phone with us. Mike, thank you. We're glad that you got out of this industry safely, and we appreciate your insight this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Take care.
We want to go to Adriana Loya now, who is at the scene, has been working this story since the first calls went out. Adriana, what can you tell us as far as the scene out there? We do see a lot of people who have been evacuated after being locked down.
Yes, good afternoon, Mark and Caribe. Now, I can tell you, I just spoke with police right now, and they tell me that this was not an active shooter situation. They want to make sure that is clear out there. There was an isolated incident, and that at this time, there are no suspects to be at large, or they don't believe any suspects are at large. Now, you did mention that there's some people that were evacuated. I did speak on the phone with the father of a 17-year-old who was shot here. Now, police tell us that at least 3 people have been shot, but this father tells me he got a phone call from his son who was in the ambulance and said he was shot in the legs. He was there with his fiance and 2 kids, a 3-year-old and an infant. He's unsure if the babies were hurt, but as what he was able to tell me in the conversation he had with his 17-year-old son is that he was shot in the legs and his fiance was possibly shot. Possibly one of their children was also shot, and the infant, they're still not sure. Now, but I can show you right now, as you can see, it is a very active situation at this time. The shooting broke out shortly around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and immediately businesses were told to get on lockdown. Now, I did spoke also with another father who was here, who said he was driving near this area when he happened to call his daughter, and that's when his daughter tells him that she and even her brother also, were told to hide at the Under Armour store. They were out here just shopping, and then he tells me that he was able to speak with them, and they told him that there was some shots that were fired outside, and they were told to hide. Now, he still remains here on scene, waiting to get a confirmation call from his children to make sure that they are okay. But as police have said earlier, a staging area has been established for anybody that has any family members that were injured in this shooting. At this time, I can tell you guys one more time that police say it was not an active shooter situation, but an isolated incident. And as of this time, we are told that 3 people were shot. We don't know the extent of those injuries, but the father I spoke with of the 17-year-old said that he was shot in the legs, and he was understandably, devastated and concerned about the situation. He wasn't able to speak with his son longer than several minutes, but he told me that he was taken to a nearby hospital and he was hoped to get reunited with them here in the next few minutes. Now, police are expected to are going to give us an update here in the next few minutes, so we'll be monitoring here the situation and we'll get back to you guys once we learn more. But at this time, police did say that they believe no suspects are outstanding at this time. We're reporting live in Glendale. Adriana Loya, back to you guys.
Adriana, before we let you go, I want to make sure that our viewers are clear on this, because I'm not. We were told that it was an active situation, meaning someone fired shots, injured people, and took off, but was no longer active when we came on the air. You're saying that this was never an active shooter situation, but an isolated incident. What does that mean?
That's what police just told me not even 2 minutes ago when we walked right now on air. They told me they want to make sure that it's clear understanding that it was not an active shooter situation, but an isolated incident. As far as what that means, we still don't know. Well, hopefully we can get more details as to what that means and how many even people, if this was multiple suspects or just one. We don't know the extent of the shooting at this hour, but we do know it happened here at this popular, shopping center where thousands of people come here every day. And, as I mentioned, the 17-year-old that was shot here with his fiance and his kids, they were just out here shopping. They never expected to be, victims of such a shooting like this. But, police are very limited at this time. The PIO who I spoke with tells me, he's also trying to gather more information. But as you understand, and, in these situations, the situation is very fluid. So they're trying to work every information that they can and, so they can get us more information. But at this time, that's all the information that I have that they were able to provide to us at this time.
I just want to clarify one more time. You had mentioned there are no suspects at large, so that means that they are not looking for any suspects at this point?
Yeah, they did say, and I'm going to look back at my notes, they're told that no suspects are believed to be outstanding at this time. So we don't know if they have arrested multiple people, if they have identified them, if those people, were captured or not. But they did say that at this time, no suspects are believed to be outstanding. So at least it looks like the situation might be, at least to some extent controlled, but we still don't know to the extent of the magnitude that this shooting happened here at Tanger Outlet Mall today.
Okay. Adriana Loya, Team 12's Adriana Loya, live for us at the mall. The first part of our live reporting from 12 News reporters who are gathering at the scene right now. Adriana, thanks. I want to give an update, Tram. This is coming from Glendale Police. The staging area has changed where you are supposed to meet family members. It was the orange lot at State Farm Stadium. It's now changed to the red lot at State Farm Stadium, which is off 95th Avenue in Glendale. And we are expecting an update from police in the next few minutes. We'll bring you that as soon as it happens. But again, we had reported because we were told that the orange lot was going to be the staging area to meet family. It's now the red lot, and that is off 95th Avenue and Maryland. If you have loved ones who were at the mall today and were possibly put on lockdown, go to the red lot, and that's where you will be able to meet your family members or friends.
All right. Obviously, we have just gotten some new information from our reporter, Adriana Loya, that now this is no longer an active situation as we had been reporting up to the hour. It is now an isolated incident. There are now no longer any suspects on the loose. As to what that exactly means, we're still waiting on more information from police as they are getting ready to hold a press conference any moment now. We don't know if that means that perhaps they have obtained a suspect. Again, there's so many questions out there.
And let me say, that's typical for a situation like this.
Right. It's very fluid.
It's very fluid,
information coming left and right.
And we're going to bring you the information we have as soon as we get it. And if it changes, we will also bring you that. So stay right here throughout the afternoon as we continue to follow this breaking and still developing story of 3 people being critically injured in what's now being called an isolated shooting incident at the Tanger Outlet Mall at the 101 in Glendale, very close to State Farm Stadium, which you can see in the background. And then the Outlet Mall is closer to the 101. The 101 just to the west of the Outlet Mall, the stadium to the east of the Outlet Mall. And we're looking east right now from one of our ADOT cameras on the left. Pictures from Sky 12 of people gathering in a parking lot. Some of those people presumably have been evacuated after being locked down in the Outlet Mall. That will be one of the areas where police will conduct interviews throughout the afternoon. As you heard earlier when we had the police commander on, it's a very intricate situation when you go store to store and you're a police officer and you're thinking about A, finding the suspect, B, making sure that you protect yourself and your fellow officers who are conducting this search, and C, taking care and keeping safe the people who have been locked down.
And you can clearly see that there are hundreds, if not over 1,000 people at that huge outlet center that is such a magnet for both tourists and for locals. We know that the shooting happened near the entrance of the Tanger Outlets on the east side of the outlets facing Westgate. Again, Westgate being the center of attention 2 years ago when a man had come into that entertainment district, pulling out an AR-15 and shooting 3 people there. But again, you're looking at live pictures from Sky 12. This entire area is on lockdown. When we were talking to Mike Parra, who was a retired police commander with Phoenix Police Department, he was saying that this is a situation that could take a very long time. I mean, we came on the air shortly after 3 o'clock. This whole scene erupted around 3 o'clock, and you can still see cruisers and police tape surrounding that entire area. And what's interesting now is you see a little bit of movement from some of the vehicles there too, whereas before you did not see that. Everybody was kind of stuck in place. But again, this whole scenario, as police go store to store, making sure that everyone is safe, this could take hours as we are entering now the second hour of this whole shooting situation. But again, the new information from Adriana that we had just found out is that currently there are no suspects at large. So we should be hopefully getting an update from police, from whether it's DPS or from Glendale Police and any other agencies that are helping out in this situation, that we should be hopefully getting some more information on not only just the suspect, but also the 3 victims who are being held at St. Joseph's Westgate Medical Center, which is just north of the Tanger Outlets, where 3 people are in critical condition.
This is the reality we live in now, where gun violence can pop up on any given day across this country. And it's a tragic situation, and I pray that this does not become a deadly situation, although we do understand that 3 people are in critical condition. We do have a reporter at the hospital that will be giving us updates as soon as they get that update. We have a reporter stationed at the Cabela's, which is where they will have media briefings from Glendale PD and possibly DPS, which is also working this situation. It's frustrating for us to have to go on the air and report these stories as citizens of this country, as residents of Arizona. When we see gun violence creep up here, it's heartbreaking and it's frustrating because we all go through it, and we never know when it could affect a member of our family or one of our friends or loved ones. And it's also frustrating because these people who put on the police uniform every day, whether it's Phoenix or Glendale or DPS, they never know when they go to work each day and they say goodbye to their kids and their spouses, if this is going to be the day that they are called to a situation like this. And maybe it would be an active shooter situation, and they are putting themselves in harm's way. You heard Mike Parra, the retired police commander from Phoenix PD, talking about the fact that when you go store to store, it's a dangerous situation because these people can hide anywhere in the mall and do anything. We know that someone at that mall that you're looking at now had a gun today. We know that that person shot at least 3 people, possibly a 4th. It's an incredible, daunting task to put on that police uniform every day and never know from one day to the next, from 1 hour to the next, what lies ahead.
And for police, they just don't know who they're dealing with. They don't know the mental state of mind of this shooter, what's happened in his or her past, which would lead up to this shooting. But, you know, across nationally, you're facing a police shortage. So right now, officers are forced to truly even go more above and beyond than they are already doing. So across the board, it is a strain for police departments. And, you have a situation like this, which puts their lives more in danger. It's just such a scary time. And, we heard earlier from Adriana, who was interviewing one of the family members, Dave, who had some kids who were just shopping, having a regular time, not suspecting anything bad would happen, just going to Tanger Outlets to do some shopping. And his kids were involved in this whole police situation and this shooter situation, and how nerve-wracking that is for parents to wonder, are my kids okay? Are they safe? Where are they?
Where is
I
the
want
shooter?
to see them.
Yes,
exactly.
I want to get to them. And by the way, if you do have someone who is at the mall, whether it's a kid that you dropped off or friends that are in town for spring break, and you want to get to them, the red lot at State Farm Stadium, the red lot, not the orange lot, which we reported earlier. That was not good information. Glendale Police has since said that it's the red lot. They changed it to the red lot, which is off Maryland and 95th Avenue. Maryland and the 101 will get you there, and that's where you will go to reunite with your friends and family.
And we're giving you, you just saw a shot from our ADOT camera, which was near the Loop 101 in Glendale. Now we're giving you a look right here at Sky 12. What I'm trying to look for, Mark, is there any movement happening? Because again, this is still technically on lockdown. And as Sky 12 gives us a closer look inside the plaza area, inside the Tanger Outlets, obviously you don't see any shoppers there, but there is some police tape, and you see a little bit of a police presence there. We do know that earlier they had gone door to door in search of this shooter. But again, at last check, and here you see what looks like to be a lot of police personnel. We don't know if SWAT may be on hand as well, but in situations like this, you have a team of agencies gathering together. We do know that because this is in the city of Glendale, obviously the jurisdiction of Glendale PD will be there. DPS, we know, was there. You see some police cruisers right out front in one of the many entrances that Tanger Outlets has. And that's another thing too, because this is an outdoor shopping area. There are numerous entrances into the heart of this outlet center. So many places that need to be blocked off, locked down, barricaded, making sure that the shooter doesn't go anywhere and that everybody is okay.
Roberto Duarte, one of our fine photographers here at 12 News, has gone to the scene this afternoon working to gather information. He's on the phone with us right now. Roberto, can you hear us okay?
Hi there, Mark. Yes, I can hear you guys.
What was it like when you got there, and what are you seeing now?
So, yes, I'll describe it right now. What I'm seeing is cops checking every cars right now. The scene is, it's as you see it right now. I'm moving the camera, panning. They're checking every car, trunk, to see if there's still someone at large. They're just, looking for understanding other men or what, they're just checking every car. That's right now. So it's a very tight security protocol right now.
So this could be what we heard earlier, which is the secondary search is underway right now, trying to keep whoever the shooter was from getting away, possibly hiding in a car trunk. And these are live pictures coming from Roberto Duarte's camera right now. And Roberto, how long has this procession of cars been going on?
So I've been kind of seeing it that it's been going for at least 15 to 20 minutes, and they're doing one by one car, and they're checking every single car. They're asking the drivers to open the trunk for security measures, and they're just waiting for to see what's going on. That's pretty much what I'm seeing right now, and moving my camera.
And for Roberto, for our viewers that are watching your live feed here, where are you in relation to the mall? What side are you on, and how far away are you?
So I'm on the south side, by Maryland and 95th Avenue, right behind Carl Jr. parking lot. And as you see right now, that was, I guess, the last guard. And now they're making the employees to walk to their vehicles. And this is south of the mall strip. So you're seeing employees to start walking, and some shoppers too as well. And this is the south side. And, you get the rush, to see what's going on out here. And, this is what I'm seeing right now. Cops doing what they're supposed to do, checking every car and to kind of see what's going on out here.
Hey, Roberto, I'm wondering, do you know if this is the only point of exit, or are there several areas where police officers are stationed to check out these cars as they leave the premise?
Yeah, there probably multiple staging areas. This is one of them. It happens to be that, I saw it and I come out of the vehicle and start using my camera to get the images. We're live, and as you see it, more cars are going to start piling up, and they're still coming out. Mm-hmm. So we don't know if they're shoppers or they are employees of the mall. But yeah, they're letting everyone go, and they're staging multiple areas. Like that vehicle is going to get checked once it's out. So there are multiple areas that cops are searching.
And obviously,
if there's an understanding. Go ahead.
This is a good sign that we're seeing here, that the fact that
Absolutely.
all this time since 3 o'clock, this entire outlet center has been on lockdown, and the fact that people are finally allowed, nearly an hour and a half later, they're finally allowed to go home. This seems as though, things are getting better, and that perhaps they are no longer on lockdown.
Right. Yeah. So they're letting people go, and you got some shoppers that they're gonna have to kind of meet their relatives. I was standing by the sidewalk, and I had a gentleman calling the relatives to check if they were okay, because he heard that it was a shooting going on in the mall, and he rushed to come and see if the person was fine. And luckily, that person was fine, and he was, waiting for that person to leave and pick her up once they're finished shopping.
Just horrifying. Roberto, were you ever, last question, and I'll let you go because I know you've got a lot to do out there, and we appreciate you just taking a few minutes to set the scene.
Oh, my pleasure.
Set the scene for our viewers here. Were you ever allowed to get closer to the mall? Did you talk to anyone?
I tried, and of course, it was a very difficult for us to, get access on the area, since it was very blocked. I had multiple police, scene. They were not letting anyone come in, so we had to use the sidewalk for this. But yeah, you get to see the stance of police patrols units in the mall. It's like a lot.
Got it. 12 News photographer Roberto Duarte out on the scene of this shooting this afternoon, joining us for a few minutes as he gathers information. Roberto, I know you've got a lot to do. We'll let you get back to it, but thanks for joining us for a couple of minutes. All right, that's 12 News photographer Roberto Duarte with us as we see this exodus of cars and state trooper vehicles leaving the mall, each one being searched to make sure that the gunman somehow isn't stowed away in a trunk or a back seat. But as you mentioned, Tram, maybe this means that things are slowly starting to de-escalate out there, that the lockdown is slowly coming to an end. People are allowed to go home to their loved ones. But if you know someone who is there and they were depending on you for transportation this afternoon, we are being told that the place to meet them, to rejoin them, is at the red lot at the football stadium, State Farm Stadium. Go to the red lot, and that's where the folks who are being let out will be directed to meet with their loved ones. And you can only imagine how badly these people want to go home. When this whole thing erupted around 3 o'clock, we're coming up on an hour and a half later, and honestly,
We thought that perhaps this would last hours, much longer. But, you know, these people who have just been waiting along the perimeter on the outside of Tanger Outlets, they're tired, they're exhausted, they're worried. Some are probably very scared. They just want to go back home. There's a lot of kids out there too. We saw, you know, babies in strollers, and it's just been a very, very long afternoon for them. So the fact that police are actually allowing people to exit instead of locking it down and allowing no movement whatsoever, this is a good sign. This means that hopefully perhaps police have things under control. Adriana had just mentioned that no suspects are at large. Again, we're still waiting to hear from police as they hopefully will soon hold a press conference nearby, perhaps at the Cabela's, which is just right across the street. But again, just to recap for you quickly, as we hit the bottom of the hour, we know that this shooting situation happened around 3 o'clock. 3 people were critically hurt. They've been taken to St. Joseph's Westgate Medical Center, which is just north of this Tanger Outlet Center at 99th Avenue and Glendale. And right now, it doesn't seem as though police are looking for any shooters. So as to what that entails, you know, more information about the shooter, the motive, the description, we are still waiting word on that.
Your heart breaks when you see scenes like this across the country. And Chief Jerry Williams, when she was in studio with us last week, giving us an update, ironically, on the shooting incident a few weeks ago that involved 9 of her police officers being shot at. There isn't a day goes by on this newscast I can tell you that we don't talk about shootings. Let's go right now to a live press conference which is unfolding. Here's Glendale PD.
Is everyone ready?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone's good? Okay. What time is it? Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for everyone for being here. First off, we want to let everyone know that we do not believe that there are any outstanding suspects in the area. However, we're still completing secondary searches at this time, and Tanger, the hotels, and Westgate are still on lockdown. So until an officer comes to one of those areas to release anyone who's inside, we suggest they stay inside in lockdown at this time. So to begin this afternoon at approximately 2:40, we had reports that there was a shooting at the Tanger Outlets at 95th Avenue in Glendale in the center of the shopping plaza. Information came in that there was possible multiple victims with gunshot injuries. We were able to locate 3 persons with gunshot injuries that were transported to local Valley hospitals. At this time, no one has passed away. We believe there's potentially at least 1 person with life-threatening injuries. We only know of 1 child, of the 3 victims being a child. We're still confirming ages of those persons. We're still sorting out how many victims, how many potential shooters there are, but we do not believe that there is anyone outstanding. We have officers conducting secondary searches. Primary searches have been completed. We've asked everyone that as we go through and ensure that each of the businesses is safe, they're gathering on the west side of the parking lot of Tanger. And as we sort out who is a victim, who is a witness, we're able to release them. So we ask that anyone who has a loved one that they know that is out here to gather and wait at 95th Avenue and Maryland in the north preferred parking lot at the stadium. Best routes to get there are going to be 91st Avenue to Maryland or off of the freeway, the Loop 101 on the Maryland exit. But we ask that everyone stay off of Glendale Avenue or 95th Avenue. Give me 1 second. We do know that this was a singular incident. Again, this was a singular incident between 2 groups of people. This was not an active shooter. Again, this was not an active shooter. It was an altercation that occurred between 2 groups of persons. It turned into a physical altercation and then a shooting. We have multiple Valley agencies that are out here assisting us with the secondary searches. Many investigators. It's going to take some time as we go through and speak to all of the persons that are out here, again, to sort out if we have any further victims or any witnesses to identify. This is going to go through the evening hours. Potentially, but again, we ask everyone who is not involved to stay out of the area unless you're coming to wait for a loved one, again, and that's going to be 95th Avenue in Maryland.
We're hearing that one of the victims who has those life-threatening injuries could be a child. Can you confirm that that person who does have those life-threatening injuries is a child?
I believe that one of the victims is a child. Again, we know that we have 3 persons who were transported with injuries with gunshot wounds, and one was a small child.
Are any suspects in custody?
At this time, we are still sorting out who exactly are shooters and who exactly are victims. So that's still part of the investigation with this crime scene that is this large in capacity with this many people to talk to. We really have to confirm more information before we can identify who's who.
Can you talk about the lockdown situation that happened right after the shooting? Can you detail what that looked like?
You know, I wasn't out here, but I can tell you that we were able to put out information over social media almost immediately after the shooting information came out to advise people in the area to lock down, just to ensure that they're not out and about running around, especially until we could identify that, again, this was a singular incident between 2 parties and not an active shooter.
Any indication that it's gang-related?
I have no indication of that at this time.
And what weapons were used?
I don't have any information on the weapons.
Can you talk about how many people, you said it was an extensive area where this happened. Can you talk about how many rounds were probably?
We don't have any information to indicate how many rounds at this time. So just to let you know, I came over here before I was able to do the investigations briefing. So I tried to get as much information as possible to give you guys at least some information, because we know there are so many people out there that have a loved one that's potentially over here. There are hundreds of employees and customers, and we just want to make sure that the public knows that we're doing everything we can to ensure that there are no further victims.
We appreciate the update. You said that the shooting occurred in the central part of the outlets. Can you be more specific? Was it a food court? What was it?
I don't believe there's a food court here necessarily, but it's just the center of the Tanger Outlets. There's multiple businesses over there. I'm not sure exactly how many scenes or potential, how far it went out.
Age range of victims? You said one
I
child.
don't have an age range. They all seem to be very young, so we can't confirm if there's more than one juvenile.
Can you talk about any previous incidents that have happened here, shootings at this particular center? And is that a possible concern for anybody coming?
I don't have any information on any other shootings at Tanger. We did have a shooting at an active shooter incident that happened at Westgate a few years ago, and we were able to take that suspect into custody, and there were no persons that passed away from that, but again, a very traumatic incident for everyone involved.
You mentioned sorting out witnesses and also victims. How does that work for you?
So anybody who feels like they had a gun pointed at them could be a victim of aggravated assault. So we have to talk to each individual, and there are hundreds of people here, before we can identify if they were a potential victim. If anybody has any other types of injuries, they may not be gunshot wounds. There might have been some sort of physical altercation. So we have to talk to everybody involved. And again, this is going to be a very extensive investigation that's going to go through the evening.
Can you give us the gender of the young child?
You know, I don't have that. It's gone back and forth which one it was. I think it's a very chaotic scene. So when you have a lot of witnesses, everybody has their own interpretation of what happened because you have different perspectives and viewpoints. So it's hard to confirm that information.
Can you talk about chaotic scene? You just said that. What does that effort look like for police, first responders, arriving to what you don't know?
It's absolutely a coordinated effort. So we have other West Valley agencies out here. We also have the Department of Public Safety. We have several tactical units. And that is just every agency out here working together to ensure the safety of everyone. So they're going door to door. They are ensuring that we, again, have no further victims. They're making sure that everyone is safe and feels safe to come out.
Are they currently doing that right now? Is this SWAT?
The secondary searches are going on as we speak. As we walked over here, they were still going.
Are they also doing that at the hotel?
That's correct. So we're going to also be continuing those searches out at Westgate and at the hotels, and it is for precautionary. Again, we do not believe that there are any shooters outstanding.
Was there more than one shooter? Do we know
that yet?
We are still sorting that out. It's, like I said, it's a very chaotic scene. We're still trying to determine who exactly are shooters, who exactly are victims, but we did have 3 injuries that were
All
transported.
right, guys, we're going to have to go back to the briefing.
Officers or security at the time?
I don't have that information. I apologize.
We're going to...
Quick for reunification for families, just that information. Can you please detail what that looks like?
Absolutely. So as detectives are able to identify and talk to each of the individuals that are over in the parking lot, again, that's hundreds of people. So they try to identify what role, if they were a victim, if they were a witness, if they were just a shopper and were told to lock down. So the less involved they were, the more likely they are to get out of here sooner. There's potential that we are going to be busing people if they can't get to their vehicles. They're going to be going over to the North Preferred parking lot at the stadium at 95th Avenue and Maryland. Again, we need people to access that from 91st Avenue or from the Maryland exit off the Loop 101. I don't have that information. I apologize.
So we're going to head back to the briefing. We are going to try and update you guys as soon as possible when we get more information. We're going to ask you guys to...
You've been listening to a live briefing from Glendale PD about a shooting situation this afternoon at the Tanger Outlet Mall, which is off the 101 in Glendale. At this hour, right now at 4:40, we're coming up on...
So we're headed there now. Just monitor
First calls went out that there was a shooting at the mall. But right now we can tell you that the Tanger Outlets, the Westgate Shopping Center, and the hotel in that area next to the ice arena are all still on lockdown. The shooting call went out about 2:40 this afternoon. 3, and now we learned, and this makes it even more tragic if that can be possible, 3 victims transported, 1 with life-threatening injuries, and we're told that 1 is a child.
Yeah, all 3 victims, Glendale police, who you just heard, seem to be young. So that's some new information. What we also learned that was new was that there are no suspects outstanding, no suspects on the loose, that this actually was a single incident between 2 groups of people that got into a physical fight, and then from that physical fight, that's what led to the shooting. Now, they're still trying to sort out who exactly was a victim, who exactly was a shooter. Obviously, it's a very daunting task because there are hundreds of people that they still have to talk to. They need to figure out who was exactly involved. Was there a gun pointed their way? Because then that could mean that they were possibly a victim. This investigation could last well into the night. But again, some new information coming out of this press conference that no suspects are on the loose and that this was a singular incident that was sparked by a physical fight that led to the shooting.
And I think that goes back and it answers the question that we asked Adriana Loya at about 25 minutes ago when she said this was not an active shooter situation, that it was a situation that, and we didn't understand it at the time, but now we have a better understanding, that this was an altercation. And these days you never know who has a gun. And at some point in this physical altercation between 2 groups of young people, someone pulled out a gun and started shooting. 3 people have been transported. Unfortunately, 1 does have life-threatening injuries. We don't know the extent of the injuries to the other 2, but we do know that 1 does have life-threatening injuries. And again, going back to what you were saying, Tram, it's just such a gargantuan task in a crime scene this large. You're not talking about someone's home or a single office. You're talking about a busy shopping mall. So police now have to figure out who saw what. Was a gun pointed at them, which would constitute assault? Where did the shooter or shooters go? The good news is police think that there are no active threats at this point and that they have that part of it at least buttoned up. But the secondary search is continuing, and as out of an abundance of caution, they're keeping the Tanger Outlet Malls, Westgate Shopping Center, and the hotel all on lockdown. If you have someone that you want to reunite with out there and you're watching us right now, the red lot at State Farm Stadium is where you want to go. That's off Maryland and the 101. It's best accessed, though, off of 91st Avenue and Maryland.
And obviously, as police were escorting people out of the very busy shopping center, you can imagine that they are far away from their car. So in that press conference, the public information officer was saying that they may be busing people from the north parking lot. Now, earlier, our photographer, Roberto, he was on the ground. He was showing you live video of people being able to exit at a point of entry. They were able to exit the premise. Those were the people where police deemed that they had nothing to do with the situation, because obviously when you have hundreds of shoppers there, there's going to be a lot of people who did not see what happened. And so those are the people that are allowed to leave. Now, again, there's still hundreds of people left, and so they still have to go one by one and interview people and see what kind of involvement, if any, did they have with this shooting investigation that could last well into the evening. But it is interesting that we thought perhaps maybe the entire area was lifted off of lockdown, but no, that is not the case. It is still all on lockdown.
And you wonder, as police begin their secondary search, and you look at these pictures. These are not live, by the way. These happened over the last half hour to 45 minutes of people slowly being let out of stores. That doesn't mean that the mall has been reopened. It's still on lockdown, but they are letting people out of the stores one by one, and it's a very difficult and dangerous task for police as they make their way from store to store to find a possible shooter, protect themselves as they look for that shooter, and then safely evacuate these people who've been on lockdown and are obviously scared.
And you think about, you had just mentioned the fact that this is such an interesting, setting right here in and of itself. The fact that this is happening at a major shopping area that spans blocks. I mean, just look at the size
it's massive,
of that.
yes.
It is so massive. You have hundreds of stores there. You have easily at least 1,000 shoppers there. And just to go door to door to each and every store, that in and of itself is quite the task. It's a coordinated task, as the public information officer was just saying earlier. We should also mention too, some new information that came out of that press conference was they have narrowed down the location of the shooting. Earlier, it was thought to have been near the entrance of the Tanger Outlets. Well, apparently now it happened at around 2:40. It happened in the center of the shopping center.
And now the task begins of making arrests in this situation, unless they've already been made and we don't know about it. Who was a victim in the situation, even if they had a gun pointed at them, they were a victim of assault. Who was a witness? Can that witness give credible and valuable information to police to help a case going forward, to help prosecute this case? All of that will be unfolding over the next hours and days as Glendale PD, with assistance from DPS, works this case, trying to determine what caused the shots to ring out this afternoon at this Tanger Outlet Mall. What started as some sort of an altercation escalated into physical violence, and then a gun was pulled, at least one.
And this is all video that was shot earlier. These are not live pictures. We're giving you a shot here from Sky 12 of inside the Tanger Outlets. Again, this is a huge outdoor shopping area. A lot of stores that are that have discounted prices. So a huge attraction, a huge magnet for so many shoppers, both locally and just tourists alone, who are obviously in town right now, where it's very popular as it is spring break. Right now, we want to go back to Team 12's Adriana Loya, who is on the ground. Adriana, tell us specifically, where exactly are you and what are you seeing?
Yeah, guys, so I'm at the Cabela's parking lot. This is where police just gave us the latest information that they have, a briefing about the situation. And the most important thing that we can tell you is that tragically one of the victims is a child, a small child. No age was given to us, but they did say that one of the 3 people that was injured is in critical condition. Now, as you can see, this is still an active situation. My photographer, Nick Paris, is going to pan to the area where you can see still police here at the scene. as police are conducting their secondary search, which involves, some SWAT teams going around the area. From what we know, Tanger Hotel and Westgate are still on lockdown, but the other businesses, people that were asked to stay and lock there, have been now able to leave the area. Now, police did say that this all started around 2:40 this afternoon at the center of the shopping plaza, where people reported there was a shooting with multiple victims. When police arrived, they found 3 victims. One of them, like I said, is a child, and one of the 3 is in critical condition. Now, police did say this is not an active shooter situation, but it was a singular incident between 2 groups of people that turned physical and then to the shooting. Now, at this time, police say they are sorting out which are witnesses and which are victims, as they said that maybe some of the people that were here that witnessed, the situation were probably the suspects pointed the gun at them, or they were probably injured in another way. So they're trying to sort those details out. But at this time, it's unclear what led to the argument that resulted in the shooting, and many of these, businesses asked to lock down. I did speak with the father of a 17-year-old who was shot in this incident. He said he was FaceTiming with the son. His son actually called him and told him, "Dad, I was shot. I was shot in the legs." He said that the 17-year-old was inside the ambulance and he could barely see, what was going on as he was being transported to an area hospital. But he was worried, as he did have that 17-year-old had his fiance there and his son, who they believe were the other 3 people that were injured in this shooting. I'm still communicating with the family. I would try to get more information as of that situation. But from what I understand, at least that one 17-year-old was shot. He did speak to his father and he was on his way to the hospital. They are definitely very worried at this time. It's still unsure what happened to another infant that was with them. The family was telling me they were trying to locate them. And from what I understand, other family was out at the staging area where police have said family could go for anybody that needed to be reunificated with their family members. But at this time, we do know at least the hotel and Westgate are in lockdown, and police did say that there are no suspects at large at this time, but it's still unsure how many people were involved and what happened, or what caused for these group of people to start shooting in the middle of a plaza that police said had hundreds of people here. And so at this time, a child was injured. 3 people were totally were shot, hurt, and at least one of them is in critical condition. That's all I have at this time, guys. Not sure if you have any questions, but as you can see, the road at this time has been opened up. To enter the plaza, that still remains closed. And as my photographer Nick Paris show you guys, there's still police here present at this time. It is unsure until how long they're going to be here. Police did say that they expect to give us an update. Possibly, we'll be on standby to see when that happens and if we can gather more information to you guys. We're live in Glendale. Adriana Loya, 12 News.
Adriana, I know this is a still developing situation and you're at the mercy of getting this information from police as they give it out, but has anyone been detained as a possible shooter at this point?
Police were not able to provide that information. We did ask if this was just one person that was detained. The only thing that they were able to tell us is that there are no suspects at large. So at least it sounds like they have the situation to some degree controlled, there is no danger. Potential danger, imminent danger, I should say, my apologies, in this area, but we don't know how many people were at least involved in this. Police only said that it was 2 groups of people. I did speak to another gentleman who did say that his kids were actually here on shopping on Under Armour, and one of them was asked to hide, the other one fled outside, and I just spoke to them. They both made it out okay, but he did say that, it was a scary situation for all of them, and I think we have a soundbite from the latest from police and from that father. Let's hear that right now.
I just happened to call my daughter, and she said, "Hey, there's a situation going on." So I called. She had bad reception, so I called my daughter-in-law. She said there was a shooting here at the outlet, so I turned around and came back over here. My wife's on the way down here right now.
What were your children doing here at the store today?
Just shopping, just killing time.
How are you feeling right now?
Like, it's shocked. You know what I mean? I'm just glad that everybody's okay. I hope nobody lost their lives. I don't know. It's terrible. I don't wish it on nobody.
A very concerned father, as you heard right there, not knowing what was going on, and especially with the limited information that we had at the time. He was speaking on the phone with his two children, but he had no idea when he was going to be able to see them. Minutes before we jumped on air right now, I saw them. He was talking with his kids, and he said that at least thankfully they were okay. But as far as the other father who I spoke with, and I told you guys, at least he was definitely disturbed to know that his son, he was just here shopping with his fiance, with his two kids, and he was shot. And he was shot in the legs. He was still trying to figure out more information on his condition, and he was going to make his way to the hospital. But at this time, there's still a lot of questions that still need answering, specifically what led to the shooting in the middle of this popular plaza.
Hey, Adriana, real quick, we heard from the public information officer of Glendale PD at the bottom of the hour at 4:30. When is the next update? Do you know?
They didn't give us a specific time. They said actually that they jumped here to try to give us some information, and they were going to head to the investigation unit that was actually on scene right now, and they're going to try to get the latest briefing. So they gave us some information. They said they were going to head out there to get more information, more specific details on what happened, and then they were going to try to come out here. So they are at least trying to give us some information, and for anybody out there that might have some relatives that were here at this shopping center when this happened, but there's no specific time when that can happen. But we'll stay here trying to work the latest information to get it to you guys.
All right, Team 12's Adriana Loya live for us out at the Tanger Outlets where the shooting took place this afternoon approximately 2 hours ago. 3 young people have been transported to the hospital, one with life-threatening injuries. We'll continue to follow this story as we approach the top of the 5 o'clock hour. Stay right here with 12 News throughout the rest of the afternoon.